Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to the conference call for analysts and investors for post-results discussion for quarter 4 of financial year 2020 and 21, Arvind Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode, and there will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference call, please signal an operator by pressing star then 0 on your touchtone phone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Samir Agarwal, Chief Strategy Officer. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, Faizan, and good afternoon, and thank you all for participating in this call to discuss the fourth quarter and full year financial results for the year FY 2021 of Arvind Limited. Joining me today is Mr. Jayesh Shah, our Executive Director and Group CFO. Before I begin sharing the financial results and the business highlights, I would like to acknowledge the tremendous support and resilience shown by our colleagues across the company, including our plants and offices, in dealing with the situation caused by pandemic. Over the course of this financial year, we had our share of challenges, including human loss and suffering, facilities closures, and supply chain disruptions. On behalf of Arvind leadership, I admire and thank our teams for their commitments during these trying times. Now I turn my attention to the results. The fourth quarter was one of the strongest quarters we have seen in past few years. During this quarter, our business continued the momentum that we had shared during our last quarterly call when we shared with you all the third quarter results. The core textiles business saw sequential growth in volume as both domestic and exports demand stayed strong. EBITDA margins also have returned to pre-COVID levels despite significant increases in input raw material and logistics costs. In terms of specific numbers, the Q4 revenues stood at 1655 crores overall, which was 9% higher on a sequential basis compared to the previous quarter and 1% more than the Q4 of previous year, which is FY 2020. EBITDA for the quarter stood at rupees 208 crores, excluding other income of 21 crores. Overall, EBITDA margins improved to 12.6% for the quarter. Due to improved earnings and reduced capital employed, the company achieved over 12% return on the capital employed, so ROCE was north of 12%. On a full year basis, the overall revenue stood at rupees 5,073 crores, 5073 crores, and EBITDA, including the other income, was rupees 514 crores. In the textile segment, the Q4 volumes were 113% of the previous year volume for denim. So we surpassed what we did last year and by 13%, and 112% for wovens. The domestic market has recovered to 74% for denim and 81% for wovens in terms of fabric volume. While exports remained strong in Q3, the domestic demand showed a strong recovery as life returned to near normal, and this was just before the second wave of pandemic hit us in late March, early April. Garmenting volumes in Q3 increased to 92% of the previous year volumes. Across the board, athleisure, casual wear, essentials, and loungewear have been seeing strong market traction in both domestic and export segments. Input cost increases that started during Q3 continued to stay firm or further inch up during Q4. As you all know, the cotton prices have been increasing, and in fact, over the course of last 12 months have gone up by 40% approximately. So domestic cotton prices are expected to stay percent increase in MSP as well. Other input costs, including dyes, chemicals, energy, packing, and transportation, have also gone up significantly. We have responded proactively through a combination of price increases, tight cost management, and a continuing discipline on our working capital. As a result, we had strong EBITDA margins in textiles, which stood at 12.6% for Q4. Our advanced materials business continues to be robust and delivered Q4 revenues of rupees 198 crores, which was 11% higher than the previous year same quarter. EBITDA margins in the AMD business stood at 13.8%. We continue to see strong market demand for our AMD products. During this fourth quarter, the net borrowings for us reduced by rupees 132 crores. For the whole year, we were lower by 421 crores, and the closing number for us on the net borrowing was 1951 crores. So again, as a recap, this 1951 crores was 421 crores lesser compared to 31st March last year, and 132 crores lesser compared to the December end quarter. So over a 2-year period, we have managed to reduce 25% of our debt. Looking ahead, we expect the export demand to be buoyant across most markets. Specifically, US expected to stay very strong as the country is fast returning to the pre-COVID lifestyle following a very effective vaccination program. Also, it's expected that as the back-to-school season unfolds, July, August onwards, there will be a significant pickup in demand as most schools and colleges are doing in-person classes in fall. Domestic markets have been adversely impacted for us because of the second wave, and we believe it will start looking up by July, August, assuming the pandemic situation does not worsen. So there's a bit of an uncertainty there. If situation improves, we expect the festival season and subsequent demand to be very strong as the retail pipelines are much lighter or empty as compared to last year when the channel was stuffed. We also expect the input cost pressures to continue at least in the near future, and we will be looking out to the government to announce the RODTEP rates, which have been kind of not known for some time now, and any other relevant policy measures in this industry as well. For us, the lower capital expenditure and tight working capital management will further help reduce debt during the year, although debt for Q1 will temporarily go up as domestic sales will be slowed up and receivables will go up. We are also expecting an inflow of around 150 crores during the year based on the land monetization project which we are doing since last year. So that's the broad trends which we are looking forward to. We will come back with more specific commentary as the year progresses and some of these uncertainties linked to COVID are resolved or reduced. So that brings to the end of my opening remarks, and I now invite you to ask questions which you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on their touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Ladies and gentlemen, we will wait for a moment while the question queue assembles. Reminder to the participants, anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 at this time. The first question is from the line of Nihal Jham from Edelweiss. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you so much, and congratulations, Jayesh and team, on the good performance. I had a couple of questions. First, there have been various factors at play in the fourth quarter, especially in terms of freight costs and also in terms of raw materials. So if it's possible, just to give a sense of what has been the approximate increase in each of these and how have we mitigated the same via price increases and cost reduction, a combination of which has helped us see an improvement in margin. That would be my first question. Then I'll come to the next one after.
Sure, man. So as you know, the cost increases started sometime in Q4, and for us, whatever cost increases were there for the period, which is the Q4 period, we were able to pass it on through two things. One, of course, we absorbed a little bit of cost increase through improving efficiencies, as well as there were price increases that we got in both in two mainline products, which is denim and wovens. So the cost increase going forward also, there are going to be further cost increases, and as we sign new contracts with our key customers, we are able to kind of pass on the cost increases. However, it is more in terms of contributions that we earn in absolute terms and not necessarily in percentage. So there may be a little bit of a margin in a percentage drop, not necessarily in absolute sense. Therefore, we believe that we should be able to maintain or improve our overall profits, not necessarily margin. In terms of, there is also an uncertainty of this, road tap percentage, which is a significant contribution, comes from getting the refund of the duties that we have already paid. And that is still not announced. We are hoping that it will get announced in this quarter.
Sure, Jayesh. What was the impact of not recognizing RoDTEP or RoSCTL either way in the last quarter of Q4?
I don't know what rate to multiply, honestly. But if I were to look at, there was no, even in Q3 there was no RoDTEP, but there was that MEIS scheme and all. So if I were to look at, say at about 2%, which is the minimum that someone should have, someone could get, it would be around 12 crores in a quarter.
Sure. That's helpful. Last question on this line is that approximately you mentioned that in denim and woven you have taken a price hike. Possible just to quantify approximately what is the kind of price hike we've taken?
So it has been, the price hike has been about between 3 and 4%. And the product mix change also is giving you some kind of price improvements, because there is a lot of change in the product mix that we have been doing, which is helping us to, keep our costs lower to maintain our margin. So we may not necessarily see a price increase, but we may see cost, variable cost reductions because of certain, programs that we have undertaken to save cost. So a combination thereof, we have been able to maintain absolute gross margin in quarter 4. And as a result, EBITDA margins have improved because of the operating leverage.
Sure, that's helpful. Last question from my side, Jayesh, that if I look at the data for India overall on the export of garments, that has been encouraging. So just checking that for us, we've seen a contraction. I would assume that Q4 is also a bit of a lower base because of the disruption that happened last year. So is it that it was certain customer specific issue or anything you may want to add?
No. In fact, we had certain, delays that happened actually if you are asking for Q4.
Yes,
so
for Q4.
We had certain delays that happened in shipments because of container non-availability in the month of, particularly in the month of March, where our overall sales actually did not rise. So in fact, we would have budgeted at least another 4 to 5% sales more than what we did, but we could not ship the goods out because of certain reasons. But that, if I were to look at how the business can move, we were hoping that business will, if the COVID had not hit, we would have planned for a 48-50 million garments for this financial year had the COVID not hit us.
Sure. And would that be the number we are targeting for next year, or it will be more than that?
So it is fluid, and I think I would like to wait for situation to become a little more certain before I make any commitment on the guidance, because we don't know how, maybe the run rate for H2 may be like that, hopefully. One doesn't know whether the wave 3 is coming or not. So it is a little uncertain for me to be able to put any number on volumes or sales guidance for now. I think important thing is that the market is there. Demand is very strong, as my colleague just mentioned. We have, in fact, orders more than what we can service. So it is just the supply side challenges that one has to overcome, and that is really uncertain today to be able to put any number to any volume or a sales target.
Sure, Jayesh. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Deep Master from One Up Financial. Please go ahead.
Hi, Jayesh and team. Congratulations on a great performance.
Thank you. Hi.
So hi. So my first question was on the demand outlook for exports. In your discussions with customers, is a lot of this obviously restocking may be like a large component, but are you seeing any structural shift? I know we've been talking about this for a while, but are you seeing the intent of the client to kind of reorient supply chains, and are you being able to see early signs of more sustainable demand from our export markets?
So there are to answer in short, yes. Let me try and elaborate a little bit, giving you some nuances of how things are shaping up. So there are certain customers who were not buying from us and possibly not buying from India, who have started buying from us in the last 3 to 4 months. So that is one indication that there are new customers, and they are all, I'm talking about large customers, global large customers. So they are first time buying and buying reasonably large quantities, and based on the currently one of the indications of how our business will move is how we are getting requests for new designs and samples from us. Gives us an indication of how it can move forward. So that's a fairly strong from the old and the new customer. That is one indication. The second is the several customers who are our existing customers who are buying certain types of products only from, or rather they were not buying from India and not buying from us. And we have now started fairly reasonable quantities of those new or different products, not new, but products that we were not servicing them since ever in the past. We have started servicing them since last 6 months. So that's another indication that newer products and newer customers are being serviced by India. Now, so based on that, the answer would be that apart from the pent-up demand where things are orders are strong, these are other indications that the markets are looking reasonably good for India.
Right. And that's very encouraging. My second question was on advanced materials.
Yes.
So obviously we had an impact of COVID this year, but our performance over the last many years has been great. So would you like to share any guidance on how the next, say, 12 months or 18 months would look, and are there any some structural changes there that could make the business stronger in the coming years?
So Deep, let's keep out the impact of COVID and that uncertainty. But keeping that aside, I think it's a business which is at a run rate of 850 crores when we close the quarter 4. And we believe that it will grow by 25% at least for coming few years, if not a little more. I think in terms of and Samir, maybe you want to take this question. My colleague Samir, our head of strategy, is also core team member of our AMD business. So let him address that. Yeah, Samir, go ahead.
Sure.
No, absolutely. So Jayesh, you are, I agree with you. Deep, we have been building this business steadily for last about 7-8 years, and it's a large business with multiple components. We are at a point, like Jayesh said, that we feel confident that this is growing and it will clock strong double-digit growth. And the reason we say this is that we are seeing over last 3 or 4 years, for most businesses, we have a core set of customers from whom we are getting fairly repeated businesses. and hence we feel that we have a solid base. And as we add more customers and gradually kind of evolve products, so we are not adding more products, but we are trying to evolve products to more higher and higher value products in each of the segments we play in. So with those two sort of levers, we definitely feel confident that we will be seeing a healthy double-digit growth for next several quarters to come.
Sure. And my last question was just on the capex. I know that we've been curtailing capex, and we've done a phenomenal job on reducing working capital and debt. But is there some as we get towards the end of the year, is there any thought of sort of doing more capex? So how do you look at this for the next 2-3 years?
Yeah. So one is the short term during the year, and then toward the end of the year, and something which is in the medium term. So I think in terms of growth, that we would want to do, I think we have enough headroom both in advanced materials as well as in core textile business to grow business by 8 to 10% for next at least 12 to 18 months. I would say more like 18 than 12 on an annual basis. 8 to 10% we can grow without any significant capex. So we have enough headroom right now for us to grow. Now, what we want to do in this interim period is to further, use the cash to bring down, the asking rate or the debt as much as we can. As far as for further capex and the growth is concerned in the medium term, to answer your question, yes, we will have to invest in building capabilities to increase sales over next 18 to 36 months. And in that period, our focus will be to do the last mile, to do specialty products. So like, for example, a year and a half ago, we invested in activewear fabrics. We invested in knitted indigo, and we of course invested in AMD. And all of them in the quarter 4 reached almost 90% of its capacity, and we are further augmenting those capacity for this year as well. So we will be doing select investments to increase our top line or a growth, to bring our growth, but we will definitely not do in things which we can outsource. So we will continue to build our base on outsourcing, where we can get someone else to do things, and we don't need to invest or operate those assets. We will continue to outsource, but balance we will start investing. One area where we will invest even in this financial year is in advanced materials.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll come back in the queue.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Sagar Parekh from One Up Financial. Please go ahead.
Yeah, Jayesh bhai, congratulations on a good set of numbers. First question on this land sale, what is the total amount of, so 150 crores is what we have sold, but I believe we were looking to sell more, in terms of value, right? The last quarterly call, we had mentioned about 300-350 crores expected from non-core asset sales. So could you highlight a little bit on that, please?
Sure. So, Sagar, we have, put up there are two types of land parcels that are getting sold. One is where we have been able to sell some land on an outright basis, which is likely to give us about 80 to 90 crores during this financial year. And there is another land where we have given this land to our sister company to do development and sale on a management contract basis. And that land is about 250 odd crores of collection that we are expecting over a period of time. about 50 odd crore collection came last year. We expect similar or slightly more amount coming this year, and that's the total of 150 that I talked about this year. But we will continue to get about 100 crores for a couple of more years from that land sale in the coming years as well.
Sure, understood. So 90 we are expecting on outright basis, and then another 100 crores we are expecting at least for the next couple of years.
So yes, and 60-70 crore from that development also we are expecting this year. So that's what we said, 150 crores for the year.
Okay.
Yeah, and couple of 100 crores should come on a 100 crore a year basis for next 2 years.
Okay, so 150 this year and next year 100, and then the year after that also 100.
That's correct. That's roughly the amount that we should be getting.
Okay, understood. And second question would be on the margin. So now with the cotton price increase further, how should we look at the margins for the full year FY22?
So first is that the margin will also depend upon what level of capacity utilization we do, and that itself is uncertain. So it will be very difficult to say what would be the margin for the year or what is the guidance of the margin or EBITDA for the year. I would keep that for the next quarterly call, and not now. I'll let some clarity emerge. On a steady state basis, as I mentioned to in earlier question, that we have so far been able to maintain margin and by passing on the cost or absorbing some of the costs through the operating efficiency improvements. And we have been able to, as a result, keep the margin as a percentage also, gross margin as a percentage also constant. But going forward, as the cost increase continue we will be able to, or we are hoping to manage our contributions in absolute sense to same. That may impact margin in a percentage term to be lower, a little bit lower, but not in absolute sense.
Understood.
Not in rupees per unit, yeah.
Okay, but any color on any further cut in terms of expenses? So last year we had mentioned significant fixed cost reduction. So that will stay, or there should be likely some kind of inflation?
No, so you are right. So if I look at, last year, for example, in a whole year, we saved about 420 crores of fixed cost. But if I divide that into two parts, which is H1, which was the period where there were closures of large scale, that fixed cost got saved because we were not operating, and as a result there were a lot of costs which were not getting incurred at all. But if I look at only H2, which were reasonably high level of production, which was going on, we saved about 15% of fixed cost, which was about, in absolute sense, 100 crores for H2. Now, which we believe is the kind of cost between 12 and 15% is the kind of cost which is a structural saving, which we believe should continue.
Right. So 100 crores for H2 means if I annualize it, then 200 crores saving is possible for the year.
No, so I said between 12 and 15, so it will be more like, I would say 150, 160 to around that number.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
My last question in terms of volumes for wovens and denims, if I go back 2 years, we were at wovens we were doing about 34-35 million meters kind of number, and denims also we were at about 24-25 million meters kind of for quarterly. So assuming that now the demand is coming back and we across all the three segments, garments, denims and wovens, we are seeing customers increasing our share of business to India. So can we now going forward, can we see that quarterly volumes coming back, or you think
again, so let me again, because of uncertainty, I'm not able to give you a clear-cut answer, but if I were to differently answer that question, saying that when we prepared our business plans in the month of early February rather, without considering the pandemic impact of wave 2, we had hoped to sell 90 million plus denim and about 128 million meters of woven fabrics for this financial year. So, now whether how much of that we will be able to sell will depend upon the market conditions, but that's what we were hoping to do in a normal year.
Understood. So 90 million and 128 million and 50 million for garments is the normalized.
We were looking at 48-50 million garments, yes.
Yeah, fair enough. Our capacity is 60 million, right, in garments?
Yes, slightly less now because we rationalized some capacity, but yeah, around that. And it's easily scalable capacity also by a few million. So.
Okay, understood. That's from my side, Jayesh. Congratulations and all the best to the team.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of KP Jain from Sundaram Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Sir, what could be our current level of exports business in the current level of mix, sir?
I'm sorry?
In the current quarter how much would be exports and roughly deemed exports, sir, in the current situation?
So direct export for Q4 was 54% of the total.
Okay.
And I guess about another 10% would be an indirect export in terms of selling fabrics to garment factories who would in turn make garments and export.
Okay. Sir, secondly, our debt has come down significantly, but our finance cost is still not down much, sir. Anything one-off there in the finance cost line item?
So last year we had our finance cost was 235 odd crores in FY20. It is now at 225 crores, so it has come down. However, in 225 crores, we have written off 10 crores of TUF interest subsidy, which we have not received for a long time. So our auditors asked us to make the provision. So we have written off. So effectively for the year, if I ignore that, our finance cost for the year was 215 crores. For the quarter was 45 crores without any of these write-offs.
So we should expect furthermore rundown in this finance cost item, sir?
Depends on the... So yes, we want to further reduce the debt in this financial year, depending upon how pandemic situation unfolds. But we directionally would go towards lower debt and as a result lower interest cost.
Okay. Sir, any update on PLI, sir? Like any update which has come from the government that when they will be doing in our areas of man-made or the technical fibers?
I am told that, so for textile they have not announced it. They have asked for feedback from the industry and we have given the feedback last week. So we believe that it should come in this quarter.
Okay. Sir, my last question is the tax rate. Like, what do you expect the tax rate in going forward, sir? Any roughly?
I think our tax rate would continue to be full at around 32-33%.
Sure. Thanks, sir. Thanks a lot.
In terms of cash flow, in terms of cash outgo, it will be only 17.5%. Because that's minimum alternate tax we have to pay. But in terms of provision in the books, because we'll be utilizing the past MAT credits every year, we utilize that. So in cash terms, it is 17.5. In accounting terms, it is about 33%.
Okay. Thanks, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Prerna Jhunjhunwala from B&K Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity, sir, and congratulations on a strong set of numbers. the healthy surprise on 12.5% EBITDA margin for the quarter, and it's come after many quarters now. So I just wanted to understand how sustainable these numbers are for next 1 year. I mean, I'm not talking about 1 quarter, 2 quarter, but at least if this number is sustainable for FY22, given that you have fixed cost savings and right now in the quarter you also experience price hikes, prices that can be passed on to the customers.
Prerna, in some ways this question came a few times before. Let me again try and explain that. We are currently, so first is that we don't really know, there would be some hiccups for sure in H1 on utilization of capacity, so that will definitely bring some kind of impact on the margins, and in fact like June, parts of May and some part of June, a lot of our Karnataka plants, all of our Karnataka plants are shut, as you know. And those things will impact sales, and as a result, fixed cost being there, the margins will get impacted. But that's the pandemic period. Now, if I were to look at H2, a combination of price increases, product mix change, and cost savings would help us to maintain margin in a 11.75-12% range, is what we believe in percentage terms. In rupee terms, we don't think there will be any deterioration in unit contribution.
Okay. And so, at current level of operations, I mean, almost not for this quarter, but in last quarter's Q4 level of operations, how is the profitability in the garments business, and what can improve it further? I'm not asking for specific numbers, but are we operating at full estimated margins?
Two things. So profitability in garment was suboptimal because we sold less than our capacity. We couldn't sell fully because of some container-related issues that we faced in the month of March. But more importantly, we did not make any provision for the road tax. So in a way, if I ignored that as well, and this margins were quite healthy. And I think going forward, we believe that margins will even improve further as we scale up our utilization. But I think that will happen only in H2.
Okay. And sir, one bookkeeping question. We've been seeing textile EBITDA margins in our presentation around 12% for the last 2 quarters. But this time we are seeing EBIT margin also being very healthy. So could you please help us understand how has the depreciation or other income impacted textile margins this quarter?
No, other income has not impacted. I think there are there are 2 impacts. I think if you look at it at the company level, the ROCE or EBIT, if you are looking at, there are a few things. So, textile margins have been around that plus minus 0.5%. But every quarter, there has been a debt reduction, and every debt reduction improves or reduces the capital employed. The other thing is that every quarter we are depreciating by 75 crores. The depreciation is around 70-75 crores. On the other hand, fixed asset investment is not even 10-15 crores in a quarter. So that further reduces the capital employed. So cumulatively, when you look at for the year, there is almost like 400 crore reduction in the capital employed, and that helps to improve EBIT or return on capital employed, not EBIT. Second is that there were non-textile businesses which are, like our water business or our other smaller businesses, which did not give any kind of profits or contribution in the first, I think, almost 8-10 months. And a lot of it got booked in this quarter. And that is also, as a result, adding to profits and as a result, adding to overall EBIT.
Okay. Understood. So then, okay, fine. There is a volatility in your other business. So, okay.
Yeah.
So my last question is on your debt reduction target for the year. So you are raising also through NCD. So can you just help us what this money will be used for, and will there be a net debt reduction even after raising this 200 crores?
Yeah. So this, under the company law, any NCD, if you want to raise any time during the year, you need a shareholders approval, and that expires every financial year. So every time you need to take an approval. Now, so this is more of an enabling resolution to, in case we wanted to raise funds during the year, since we'll be calling a general meeting, we want to take this approval so that we don't have to call another meeting should there be a need to raise the funds. As things stand, we are not looking at adding, and we are looking at reducing the debt. So there is no question about adding the debt. So there could be debt additions and debt reductions that we keep doing it either to change the repayment schedules or to save on interest cost. But they are all more of taking advantage of the cost arbitrage or whatever, but nothing to do with the pure debt. Debt increase or debt reduction is pure a function of what free cash flow we generate. And that we believe should be there, subject to COVID conditions, because we do not have any significant capex program, and we have certain cash flows coming from land sale.
Okay. So which means this is just provisional in nature, so it is not for any further cash flow requirement of yours. That answers it. And so one more question, if I can just fit in, on the China Plus One demand structure, we were talking about realigning our product mix as per the export market in the garment business, and also the demand in woven fabrics. If you could just help us in understanding the demand supply, as you explained in the denim side last quarter call. So that would help us in understanding what is happening on the woven side as well.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to understand. Can you please repeat, Prerna? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So no problem, sir. First question is first part of it is on woven fabrics. Could you just help us understand the demand supply dynamics in the woven fabric business? And second part was on the the realignment of our capacities as per the demand shift that can happen from China Plus One strategy. Where are we on that? And do we see China Plus One actually playing out in the garments business for India?
So, if you look at the data on last few years, I think China has lost good amount of market share. I think Samir, was it 8% or something? However, the most of the benefits have gone to Bangladesh and Vietnam. And I think in India has grown. India's market share has also grown both in US and Europe. And that was, I think, but it was significant as a percentage to the total number we have. But it was in absolute sense, it was about 1% growth. I think it has something to do with the way I think our capacities, our Indian manufacturers' capacities are, and the way our I think cost competitiveness is, which also significantly is constrained by the government's policy on what actual duties that we are paying and whether they are all being refunded. So I think those are some of the challenges why I think India is not able to take a full advantage of shift. As far as Arvind is concerned, Arvind is getting more orders for sure, and we are consolidating our position with some of our key customers. And I think we continue to grow both in fabrics and garments. And as we said that we have a plan to grow to almost full utilization in near future as soon as the COVID conditions become normal. Woven demand is fairly strong right now, and I think as I said in earlier call that some of the products that were not being bought by our customers from us, but they were buying from China and just started buying from us. One of the highest demand we are seeing is in wovens.
Yeah, Jayesh, sorry, I was on mute when you asked my question. So, Prerna, in terms of data, the biggest erosion of market share for China has happened for the supplies to the US, where if you see the data between 19 and 20, those 2 years, it did lose about 6 percentage points. And like Jayesh said, majority of that got split between Bangladesh and Vietnam. For the other markets, the market share movements have been relatively narrow and stable.
I think India got some benefit, which was, I think, about a percentage or so.
Yes, one percentage point we got as well.
Yeah.
Okay, sir. And that's helpful, sir. And any bouts of capacity?
This is the operator. May we request that you return to the question queue for follow-up questions?
Sure, no problem.
Thank you. The next question is from the line of Saurabh from HDFC. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Thanks for taking the question. Sir, just let's continue to the previous response, which you were where you mentioned that the garmenting, the China has lost share, but the gain has been more towards Vietnam and Indonesia and maybe Bangladesh. But can India be a indirect beneficiary of the same, because we may not have a very large garmenting capacities compared to Vietnam and Bangladesh, but we do have a large fabric capacity and maybe spinning capacity. That was question one.
So for the country, the demand for spinning, as you know, is very strong right now.
Yeah.
It is for various reasons, including some capacities going out, and more importantly, the cotton, Jiang cotton, not getting used, and as a result, a lot of Indian yarns being sold in international market.
Right.
Also, there is, as I said, there is a very strong demand for fabrics.
Yes.
Across all product categories for Indian manufacturers for export market right now, and it's a combination of both. Generally the demand being strong, as well as some replacement demand also coming our way. So to answer your question on fabrics, yes, we are benefiting. On garments, because of our own capacities being limited, policies not being very clear, there are those, we are not getting a very large sizable benefit out of that.
Right. So in a sense, this can be a structural positive in terms of fabric capacity for us for a medium longer term.
It is true. So for a country like, pre-COVID, what we were hearing from machinery suppliers, there was very large scale, textile investment, which was being considered by various companies in India for increasing fabric capacities. We don't know how much of that will now actually come because of the impact that we all are facing. Some of it may go away, but to answer your question, India is looking, textile is looking fairly in a good shape for some years to come.
Great, sir. So thanks. The second question which I wanted to ask, it would be a combination of few questions which you already answered in part. So as you mentioned that in the beginning comments that we are currently the current challenge is more of a supply side and not of and less of a demand side. So assuming the supply side challenges are not there, how better we would have done over FY21 revenues broadly?
Well, we would have FY21. Oh, that is a 5,000 odd crore revenue, right?
Yes.
So, but if I were to look at, let me give a different thing, because FY21 was a very different kind of a revenue. But if I look at, say, Q4.
Maybe FY20 or FY19, whichever year you think is the right number to be seen.
Yeah, but if I were to look at, Q4, which was 1,650 revenue, which is a run rate of 6,800 crore, as opposed to top line of 5,000 crore, which we got in the FY21. The Q4 run rate was about 6,600 or 6,800 crores.
Yeah.
We would have grown by at least 10% over that, had there not been a COVID.
So assuming everything is normalized in FY23, we assume that COVID is behind us till that time. So can we do a turnover close to 8,000 crores, which we were very close to in FY20?
It is possible. It is possible with the capacities that we have, the plans that we have, even in advanced material division. It is possible for us to aim at that level of sales without too much of investment.
Understood. And the second part of my question is, you also mentioned that in H2 you expect margins around like 11-12%, assuming I've heard it right. But in current quarter we did around 12.5%, and that too excluding
11.75 to 12%. The reason I said in H2, so it was in the context of cost push. So if the cost push is there, suppose the cost goes up by 10 rupees a unit, we may be able to get 10 rupees and not 10 plus 12% thereon. So as a result, in a percentage term, you may lose a little bit of certain maybe 30-50 basis points.
Understood.
Not in absolute sense, yes.
Okay. And sir, also on the time lag, so there would be some time lag between you would have on both sides, as in when you would be buying some bit of yarn, since the yarn spreads are now higher, so maybe the current pricing what we are getting, they would increase, but at the same time the fabric which you are selling, they would also would be some time lag where the price increase will be there. So won't these to get negated over time?
It is every time there is a significant cost push, you tend to lose for some months, because your sales is already committed.
Right.
And our buying cycle of commodity is much shorter. So as a result, you buy near the production time, while your sales might be for a longer period of time. Also with certain customers, we do a reasonably long-term as in 6 to 9 months of capacity planning for them, because they are very large and big customers of ours.
Correct.
So it has a time lag impact, and which we have to factor in, but it gets adjusted over 4-5 months.
Understood, sir. Thanks a lot, sir, and all the best, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we will take the last question from the line of Resham Jain from DSP Mutual Fund. Please go ahead.
Hi, good evening, sir, and congratulations on very good set of numbers and recovery. So my first question is on the labor shortage. A lot of textile companies are talking about this because of disruption in terms of factory operations and all, along with various inflationary pressure which you talked about, is labor also one factor, and how comfortable are we and as an industry people are on this side?
So, Prashant, as you know, largest part of our sales come from plants in Ahmedabad.
Yes.
And in both the large locations of ours, which is Santej and Naroda, practically 90% of the labor is from in and around the plant. They're coming from in and around plant. They are not migrant labor for us. So for us, and in that area, like in Santej or in Naroda, most of the other textile mills are, which were existing in the recent past also have shut. So like there was a BVM factory in Kadi area, in Santej area, which also got shut. So availability of labor for textile for our plants in Ahmedabad, because they are not dependent on migrant labor, is not a problem.
Okay.
Also, cost is not a problem for us because there is a trade union agreement on which we are able to work on, and there is no significant cost change that we are seeing. The issue that one is facing, and that is, I think, very temporary and most particularly for quarter one, is that because of the large-scale COVID, spreading in and around Ahmedabad, there is a higher absenteeism, and as a result, though plant is working, less people come into the plant, and that happened on a very large scale between 15th April and 15th May. It has now since receded, and now more and more people, as you know, COVID cases are also lower. So now absenteeism has started to get back to normal, and as a result, we are getting it. But on a medium-term basis, that issue we are not seeing that as an issue. As far as garment factories in Karnataka are concerned, again, they are mostly workers coming from Bangalore and nearby Tamil Nadu villages, and not migrant from other states like UP or those kind of places. So availability is a big challenge, or a cost is a big challenge.
Okay. And so my second question is on backward integration. So from yarn perspective now, how much backward integrated we are in terms of our overall fabric requirement? Like for fabric division, how much yarn is internally integrated?
About 60% on the company level in denim, which is where the yarn spreads are maximum. We are about 80% integrated. In wovens, we are at about 45 to 50% integrated.
Okay. And this would have been a little challenging in the last 6 months because of lack of integration to some extent. Otherwise,
not really. Our margins in last 6 months have been quite okay. So.
Yeah, I was saying relatively, it could have been even better because of very high yarn spreads which companies are enjoying.
Correct. No, that is true. We don't have yarn investment.
Yeah,
so
correct.
Yeah. So always.
Thank you very much.
There was ₹1.60 yarn spread 1 year ago. So.
Okay. Right, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. All the best.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraint, we will take that as a last question. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Samir Agarwal for closing comments.
But if anyone's questions are left, we'll be happy to offline take them. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that brings us to the close of this call. We will again meet in 3 months. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Arvind Limited, That concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.